come on up and take a look. We have a blade that has an angle at the base. Do you see there's an angle also on the handle? There's an angle on the handle, not on that side, but on that side. You see the difference between those two sides? Okay, this one has more of an indentation and a place to put the bottom of the blade. There's nothing here, it's pretty smooth. So the blade goes on that surface, not that surface. But there is an angle right there, and it's going to match that angle if the blade's put on like that. So you know you put it on wrong if it's like that, because the angles don't match up. So you know then it has to face that way. Oops, that way. Anybody in here left-handed? Oh, good. Well, you have to do that upside down if you're left-handed, and it makes it difficult. I'm sure they make left-handed instruments, but most people don't have those. So I'll just show one way then. So we're dealing with a sterile blade and sterile handles, sterile instrument. We'd have gloves on, we'd be sterile. What you want to do is only grab a scalpel blade with needle holders. Needle holders are the absolutely best gripping instrument we have, and you don't want this to slip for obvious reasons. Notice where I put it. I put the very tip of the needle holder jaws on the blade end, not down here, and it's not touching the cutting edge. So a lot of people end up doing something like that. That's wrong. Or doing it down here. That's wrong. One of the reasons that's wrong is because it's covering the hole. You'll never get it on. I see people struggle forever when they do this, and it's covering the hole. You can't put this on if it's covering the hole. So I think it's best, here I at least double click it. I mean ratchet it well. So I at least put it on an angle. I'm not putting it straight. I'm not touching the blade cutting edge. You don't want to dull anything. So take this as I talk about it. You guys pass that one around. Let's talk about this one. There's a groove right around here. There's a groove. There's stuff in this groove. Not cleaned out well. That's why we use it in this class. Yuck. And that's the groove that this blade has to sit in. Now notice that these blades, you might be able to see it better on that one, have two different slot widths. There's a really thick width down here, and then there's a thin width. Well, the thin width is what fits on this groove. But you can't just set it in a groove. You have to go through the thick width first. So this is how you do it. I usually hold, for leverage, everything close up. You know, it's like writing with a pencil. You have much better leverage if you write down here than if you write like this. So don't hold it like this. Go down here. A little bit of an angle so that you can line up the groove that's on the handle with the thin slot, and then you just push it on. I was talking, I don't know if you heard that click. But that click was this end of the scalpel blade going into the notch there. I want you to give it a double pull just to make sure it's not coming off. Okay, so it's simple as that. As long as you grip it right and you line up the slot with the thin area, you're not trying to push it on. I have so many people going to try to push it on. And you'll be doing that if you're a sterile assistant. You'll definitely be doing this part no matter what part of surgery you're in. You'll be taking the blade off. So the blade, to remove it, needs to be held down at the base. You can't pull it off up here. We just showed you. You can't pull it off. You have to curve this up a little bit and then slide it off. It has to clear, there's a little ledge right there. It has to clear that ledge. And I find a lot of people curl it way too much. And then there's such a binding going on in that little slot, you can't slide it off either. So just lift it so it clears that little ledge and then slide it off. Now, a lot of times what happens is if you're left-handed, you know, everything's in your other hand. Okay, so if this is in my hand like this, of course it won't fit on like that, so they have to turn this over and it's upside down. But regardless, if you're left or right-handed, the reason I'm showing you this is because the blade is always facing away from my hand. The cutting edge is on this side, and my hand is on this side. So for a lefty, if they put it on like this, and they're holding the blade on this side, if they slip, they're gonna cut themselves. So always have the blade facing away from the hemostat or the handle you're holding it with. Just makes sense. So there's a lot of free time, like there was